The rich are getting richer, inequality is getting greater. But it doesn't have to be like this. It can be different. Things can change. Things do change.
Cut government spending, cut tax rates, reduce government ownership and operation of industries or regulation of industry.
This free market fundamentalism was more than just a set of policies. It was a way of looking at the world. It took our worst instincts of selfishness and greed and made them the basis for how our society should be organised. We've been told, let the rich get richer and we will all benefit. But all that has happened is the gap has got bigger and bigger between the richest 1% and everybody else. There are whole industries set up to avoid paying tax.
Private equity is really built on tax avoidance.
Corporation tax has come down, but corporation tax avoidance has gone up. Apple is the richest company in the world. It makes profits of more than $1 billion every single week. And yet they only pay their workers a couple of dollars an hour.
The Google arrangement and the Apple arrangements are almost identical. They both basically use a double Irish scheme. They both end up with enormous piles of cash sitting in Bermuda.
They pay for these streets to be One part of the company, Apple Operations International, reported net income of $30 billion, but claimed to have no tax residents, like they're just a drifting band of techno gypsy people.
Apple in the USA has so little money in its parent location that it actually has to borrow to be able to pay dividends to its shareholders because it can't bring in all the cash it's got in Bermuda because it would be taxed if it did.
Not in the store.
This is distorting corporate behaviour. This is tax avoidance gone mad. This is where the tax tail is wagging the dog.
Well, one, Apple avoid their taxes. Hello, officer. It's just about Apple avoiding paying their taxes, which obviously we need to pay for public facilities like the police force. We have a choice. We can have corporations like Cadbury, or we can have corporations like Apple. Look at their factory in China. People killing themselves, people working 70 hours a week, people sleeping on the production line. It doesn't have to be like this. We have to punish corporations that do this. The interests of the workers and the community need to be as important as the shareholders. The rules need to be changed. When this place was built, the vast majority of people were excluded from voting. It wasn't until 1918 that all men over 21 and women over 30 had the right to vote. And people weren't given the vote. It took direct action to win votes. People were massacred at Peterloo. Emily Davison died when she threw herself under the King's horse at the Derby. Just sitting at home, voting once every 5 years, ain't gonna change nothing. You have to organise, you have to protest. Like these people, protesting against something called TTIP.
TTIP is the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, and it's basically a big, secret deal being cooked up behind closed doors between, on the one hand, the European Commission, and on the other hand, the US government. They want to get rid of all of the rules, the standards, the regulations that control things like environmental goods, food safety rules, labour standards, workers' rights.
I've got an ideological plan.
Well, one of the things you'd see, as we were already seeing, is that the NHS has been opened up to private providers. So people like Virgin are now operating frontline NHS services.
Virgin?
Yeah, Virgin.
They can't even do their trains.
For example.
They crashed that spaceship.
So what TTIP would mean is that you wouldn't be able to get it back into public hands. When you've seen that Virgin can't do it, you won't be able to bring it back into public hands in the future because it's tied up within a trade deal.
A silent revolution is taking place.
Big transnational corporations get to sue our governments for loss of profits, not in our courts, but in secret courts which they'd set up for that purpose. And that's the biggest threat, that sense of a direct challenge to democracy.
It is a revolution to change forever the way our country is run.
So like, for example, Philip Morris, the big tobacco company, is suing the Australian government for requiring it to market all of its tobacco, all of its cigarettes in plain packaging, because it's saying, you are going to infringe our right to maximise profits in the future. So they're suing them for billions of dollars, and that's exactly what we will face under TTIP if it goes through.
It sounds literally evil.
It is evil.
Why is this happening?
Well, we're letting it happen. Protest works. When they tried to bring in these same powers as before, we fought back and we defeated them.